And welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Nancy. I don't think I ever say these in any of my videos, probably just because I just assume that no one's going to watch them. But I do post them in hopes people will watch them. But I primarily post videos of things that I enjoy, which include plants, reading, makeup, and just like lifestyle and style content, if you will. If that's something that you're interested in, I hope that you'll take a moment to either watch this video completely or at least consider subscribing to my channel. So today's video is going to be a bookish video, and I'm excited because I love to read, and I did find the book talk community, which made me super excited, and come to find out that people post videos about books they've read. And I love that. I love that. So I wanted to join in, and I'm hoping that this video will make it to those type of people too. If you happen to enjoy makeup like I do, or plants, as you see in the background, um, please subscribe. Leave me comments down below on what books you've read, which ones you've enjoyed, if you've read any of these that I'm going to share with you today, and any suggestions as well. If you're also a content creator, I would love to know too. And you leave your handles in the comments so I can go and check you guys out and follow as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So I am on Goodreads. I'll leave the handle either on the screen or in the description box so you guys can take a look, and maybe we can follow each other on there as well. I always love to see what people want to read. So I'm just pulling up my listing of books that I've read for this year. Let me see here. Okay, so my original goal for the year of 2024, I'm pretty sure this video is going to come out after New Year. So when you guys are watching this, we'll already be in the new year. So Happy New Year! But my original goal was to read 10 books throughout the year. I don't read as often as I would like to. I am the primary caretaker of my home and my family. So that a lot of time is taken up in that, and I rarely have time to sit down and do stuff, let alone film. So I am trying to fit everything into my schedule and read the book. So I do have a very modest goal every year. I don't want to stress myself in trying to reach it. I like to set goals and meet them and be happy that I've met them. But I surpassed that goal, and then I think in October. And so I raised it to 15, and now I didn't meet that goal. So I did pass my original goal that I had set in the beginning of the year, but I didn't pass the goal that I had changed it to towards the end of the year. I got ambitious. So let's go ahead and bring these books up. Okay, so the first book that I completed in the year was this big ol' mama of a book. I fell into the TikTok trend and everybody was raving about it. And so I was like, oh my God, that sounds like right up my alley. I need to pick it up. And so I did. I bought it on Amazon. It's a monster of a book. I originally had started reading this in 2023, but the character building and the story building of this book took so long. I was actually, quite frankly, quite bored reading this book, at least like about more than halfway through. And this is a monster book, okay? It was also very tiring. My hands did get aches in trying just to hold the book and read it. Um, so I did pause it, and then I picked it up in, I think, January of 2024, and then I finished reading the book. So according to my Goodreads, I finished reading this in March. So as I mentioned, I stopped it and picked it up again and started reading it. I did finish it. I'm happy that I was able to finish this book. Would I pick up the second one? No. I did think about it because by the end of the book, I really did love it. I love the characters. I love how it's very woman empowerment book. Like the women are the ones who are in power here. It's very much a woman's world versus it being a man's world. Instead of kings, they have queens. The warriors are women. In one part of the fantasy area, one part of the land, it's women warriors, and they draw this energy from the apple or orange tree. That's why it's called the priority of the orange tree. Um, it was just the world building was really boring, but once you get that. And I mean, it sucks too, because like once you get about halfway through, it's when it really starts to pick up and get really good. I like the ending, but I wanted more. I was like, once I was invested and I wanted more. And so I did think about picking up the second book to continue the story, but once I read the summary of the second book, none of the original characters are actually in that book. And I didn't want to go through the whole world building again and character building and stuff again. So I didn't bother. But if I ever see a massive book like this again, I'm not purchasing it. I'm not going to read it on this. I'm just going to purchase the digital copy and read it on the Kindle because this really hurt my hands. So although it wasn't like the best in the beginning, I did really enjoy the story towards the end. So I did end up giving this book 3 stars. 3 stars in my book is a good book. Like it's fairly good. I rarely rate a book at 2 or 1 stars. Like 1 star means I absolutely hated it. Like I wish I could give it a 0. A 2 star means it was like, eh, but a 3 stars, I enjoyed it. I just probably wouldn't pick it up again. And then if you guys are returning, this is my third video of today. So I'm still wearing the same thing and you guys probably get tired of this look, but I tend to film a lot on the days that I have availability to film. So that's why, just keep that in mind. Okay, the next 3 books is a trilogy, I think. I think it's just 3 books. And that was A Touch of Darkness. This is a story retelling of Hades and Persephone. I read this on my Kindle. I think first the first book I got on Amazon Prime, like Prime Reading, which is free with your Prime. If you didn't know, it's free with Amazon Prime. If you have an Amazon Prime account, like that you pay for yearly, you have a selection of free books that you can read with just the Prime Reading. And then they have the Kindle Unlimited, which is, I think, $10 or $11 a month, which allows you to read more books. So that one I think was on Prime Reading and I was able to read it for free and I fell in love with it. It's not for everyone. I've seen a lot of people complain about Persephone, but I really loved Persephone. I loved Persephone. I loved Hades. I loved the characters. I was really, really invested in it. I did kind of had an issue with how both of the characters were really if you haven't read the books, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to put a disclaimer of some giveaways on here. I mean, spoilers, sorry. Some spoilers on here with the books if this is something that you want to read, but I'm not going to try to give too much information, but yeah, but there will be some type of spoilers. I don't know if some people are like my husband where they don't like to be told anything about a book or a movie. He's with movies. He doesn't want to know anything about movies. But yeah, so this is your warning, some spoilers. But anywho, I didn't like how, I can't think of the word. I didn't like how dependent the 2 characters were of one another, like that their life was ending without each other. But the romantic side of me also kind of understood that. Like, I'm a really strong, willful woman. Like, I'll do things by myself. I arrange furniture. I'll get up and climb, and I'm afraid of heights. Like, I'll move furniture around. I'm not weak. I can do a lot of things on my own. But at the same time, God forbid anything ever happened to my husband, my world would come crashing down to an end because I absolutely love him. And I think that's what the book meant to portray was how strongly they feel towards each other. But in some of it, it kind of portrays it as a weakness. And I don't think that that's a weakness. So that was my only ick about the book. Other than it's kind of a raunchy book. There's a lot of spicy parts to it. And sometimes there was, I can't remember which one out of the 3 books. There was like a whole chapter of just spice, and that's not necessarily my thing. Although I really loved 50 Shades of Grey. That was a really good book. But yeah, like I like some spice, but I don't want it all to be about the spice, if that makes sense. It has to go really well with like there's just the right way, like just enough spice where it's just like I'm not watching a porno in my head, because I'm the type of person that visualizes everything, like I can see it as I'm reading it. Yeah, and that's just not me. So the first, there's three books that I read on the Kindle. The first one's A Touch of Darkness. The second one is A Touch of Ruin, and the last one is A Touch of Malice. And I ate these books up. So it shows that the first one I read as soon as I finished the other one was in March as well. Oh shoot. Did I read it in one day? Did I read it more than Okay, for some reason it doesn't show when I started and when I ended it, but I did start it in March and then I read A Touch of Ruin. I read The Touch of Ruin in like a week and a half, which is really good for me because I don't do that. I normally take at least several weeks to a month to finish a book with my busy schedule. And then the last one, it looks like I finished within a week as well. So it was a book that I really could not wait to get to like see what happened, like what's going to happen next, what's going to happen next. It really kept me intrigued and just interested. And as I mentioned, I loved the characters. I loved Persephone. I loved Hades. I loved all the other gods that came out in it, which I don't want to give away. But yeah, it was a really good story. I liked it. And it has mixed reviews on Goodreads. And then I've seen other people who do post book reviews on TikTok and on here on YouTube. So I guess booktube, I think is what they call it. Where they hate Persephone. A lot of people kept saying that they saw her as a whiny baby. I more so saw it because I'm an anxious person, so I tend to play the worst scenarios always. And I felt like I could resonate with Persephone in that. I don't think that I'm a crybaby or of any sort, but I do worry a lot, and I felt like that's what they were trying to portray, at least in the book. The people who got it, and the people who didn't, well, they didn't. And I'm like, oh, how good for all of those people, that they don't worry in that way, because that's what I loved about Persephone. So even though she was a goddess, she still had a lot of worry. She technically grew up more human than a goddess. So it was really nice. I liked it a lot. Oh, okay. So that is actually four books. There's one more that I didn't see on my Goodreads. You guys to see, and I'll also put the covers of the books so you guys can see them too. And it looks like that I read later. I think I might have read because I think some of the books I read off of Amazon, the free reading that I was mentioning, and the other ones I read through the Libby library, where you can download the digital books onto your mobile device or Kindle. Tiffany and Hades retelling series. I did really like them a lot, and I ended up rating each book, obviously individually, when I did read them. So the first book I gave a 3-star rating, but I did like it enough to continue reading the series itself. The second book I gave a 4. No, actually, I gave it a 5-star rating. The Touch of Malice, I gave a 4-star rating. And the last book of the saga, I gave a 5-star rating. For me right now, the stories are all kind of blending together, so I don't know why I gave the ratings as I did. I did write reviews as to how I felt the book, but I think the one that has the lowest rating is probably the one where I said that I just had a little too much of the spice, and that's just not always my vibe. Like when a full chapter is just dedicated to that, I'm like, ugh, it's just ick. Like I have enough spice in my life that I don't need to read the spice in the books. Do you know what I mean? Especially with my active imagination, just seeing it all, it's just too much, too much. So it looks like from there, I didn't pick up any more books to read, not for a while. And then I ended up purchasing myself a new Kindle because my old one just stopped working. I was trying to read Jurassic Park and it kept not wanting to download. And then I kept trying to download other books and it wouldn't download any. And I tried to reset it to the factory settings, kind of like rebooting it, and just starting over with it, and it still didn't work. But my Kindle's really old. My husband had gotten it for me after I had my son, and my son's 13 now. So it was about 13 years old. So it did last a really, really long time. And I figured it's okay, I can get a new one. So I ended up buying myself a new Kindle and then again was back onto BookTok book talk where they started talking about Frida McFadden, and I used to read thrillers in high school, but I hadn't picked up any thrillers that I really liked. Like I did read Verity. My sister and other people had recommended it, but I did not like that book at all. I found it very predictable. So it wasn't for me. But this one had really high reviews as well. And I loved it. So, book I'm referring to is Never Lie from Frida McFadden. And I ate this up. I literally picked up the book and started reading it August the 6th, and I finished reading the book in 3 days. I was done reading by August the 8th. That was so freaking crazy. Like, that was literally a book where if it were physical, I would have just kept turning and turning and turning. It was like one of those books where you see those memes where, like, you're reading the last chapter and then like it's dark and then you wake up and it's morning, you're like, oh, I fucked up, I fucked up. It was literally that for me. I was so obsessed and I was shook it. Like I did not see the ending coming at all. I thought I had that book figured out. I did not. It's such a good book. And people said that it was kind of scary. I didn't think it was scary, but I do really like scary movies. I think it would really, really have to be super scary in order for it to scare me. But it was really, really good. It kept me really interested the entire time that I read the book. And I think that book literally got me back into reading where I just like, okay, what's next? As soon as I finished it, what's my next read? Like, it was just really good. 5 stars. I gave that book 5 stars. Okay, so the next book that I ended up reading, this was also in August. It took me about a week, it looks like, to read. I started on August the 8th, finished on the 15th, is What Lies in the Woods. And this is by Kate Alice Marshall. I also read this on my Kindle. I gave it a 3 star rating. I did enjoy the book. I just remember that a lot was going on with the book. It was the same thing where like I kind of thought I had it figured out, and in a sense, I was kind of right, but I was wrong. So I had part of it's also a thriller. I had part of like the story twist figured out, but part of it was like still shocking. Um, it was just kind of messy. There was just a lot going on in like this person's life was just very, very messy. And I think it was just a lot to read in one book. Um, would I read it again? Probably not. Would I recommend it? It wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. I read it within a week, which like, again, I typically don't have that luxury. So if I'm reading it within a week, it's because I'm really intrigued and I kind of just want to know what's going to happen next. So it's one of those books where it's like one more chapter, just one more chapter, one more chapter. But once we got to the end, I was like, really? That's it? Type of thing. Yeah, so did I love it? No. Did I like it? Yes. Would I read it again? No, probably not. The next book that I read was The Winter People. That's from Jennifer McCon, I want to say. I'll leave again the cover of the book for you guys to view. This one I borrowed from the Livy app, and I think I read it also within a week. I started it immediately after I finished What Lies in the Woods. And oh my God, this book was so good. I really, really liked it. I wanted to give it a 4.5 stars that I remember. I did rate it 3. I'm not sure why. Oh, okay. I gave it a 3.5 rating on Goodreads, and that was because all the reviews that I saw and heard about this book is that it was extremely, extremely scary. So I was expected to be like scared to the point where I wouldn't be able to sleep at night, but it was not scary at all. It was really good. I love the story plot. I love the twist. It was good. That's why I was like, oh, it's like 4.5 to 3.5 stars for me because it didn't meet the expectations that was set in place for it. But I did really enjoy the book. Would I read it again? I definitely would. Probably in a year or two. Once I kind of forget the story so I can re-enjoy it again. But I really, really liked it. I don't think it's scary at all, but if you scare easily, I can see maybe why. I don't want to give too much information away, but it was a really good book. It's also like kind of like another thriller, um, not ghost story, but Halloweenish vibes. I don't want to say exactly what it reminds me of, just in case. I feel like it would give too much away of the book. So, and that's part of the appeal is the twist. The next book that I read was The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, and that's from Shangu Mandana. And again, not sure if I pronounced her name right. I do have trouble with pronunciation. I am dyslexic, so bear with me. This I also read towards the end of August, and it looks like I read it within a week as well. That means I really enjoyed the book. I did give it a 5-star rating. This is a really, really cozy read. I 100% recommend it to anybody who loves anything witchy, anything magical, anything like romancy. There is a little bit of spice, but this is the spice done right. It was just such a cozy read. There's a lot about family and like being an outsider or lonely and finding family or wanting that longing about family. And then there's like a magical theme to it as well. It's just a really, really cozy read. I loved it. It was so cute. It was just so well done. Definitely recommend. I let my sister borrow this book. This was an actual physical book that I read, but I did lend it to her, so we're waiting to get that back. And I don't want to rush her. I know she's pretty busy. But yeah, that was a really top-notch read. Okay, these next two books that I have are like the last books I actually completed in 2024, and they're physical copies. So this one is Wayward. This is from Emily Hart. Can this cover, you guys? Just this cover. I got this book. What is it called? On Thrift Books, I think is what it's called. Yeah, Thrift Books, which is an app where you can purchase gently used books. I love this book. I don't remember what I rated it, but thinking about it now, I would say maybe 5 stars, 4 star. I gave it a 4-star rating. I'm pretty sure it's, yeah, 4.5 stars rating is what I put in the review. Um, this book is also a witch based book and it follows 3 generations of women, not back to back generations. They're like extended generation of women who are in the Wayward family and practice magic. They have some really, really heavy topics in this book. And I think that's the reason I rated it into a 4.5 star instead of a 5 star, because there are some triggers. If you have triggers, and that's why I want to mention this is a spoiler. So skip this part if you don't want it. But if you want to know what the triggers are, then pay attention. So they do have abortion in this book. They have abuse in this book, so like rape and like physical abuse, like spousal abuse in this book. And there is a lot of how can I word it, of like men empowerment and like the women being poorly treated. A lot of the reviews that I read that were negative, that's basically said is just women being battered and abused. And technically, yes, that's kind of what it is. But I mean, that's what our past history is. We have been fighting for our rights, you know. So this book does show these really strong women going through some really tough hard times. Oh, I didn't even mention this. There did I? There's rape in here too. So rape, abuse, and abortion in this book. So it this have some pretty heavy topics, and some of those are triggering for me. Two, in fact, are triggering for me the sexual abuse and spousal abuse. Not that I've dealt with spousal abuse myself. My husband's amazing, but I've witnessed someone close to me go through that too. And you can guess the other one. But yeah, so there are some triggers, and some of those parts were a little hard for me to read and get through. But other than that, the overall story is very beautiful. I do love like the women empowerment in here, you know, of them overcoming these horrific things, you know, because us survivors do really survive and we keep fighting to be happy and continue to live our lives as normal, which we deserve to be, right? But yeah, very beautiful book. I really, really liked it. Would I recommend it? Yes, But just be aware of the triggers in the book because I didn't know. I knew about the spousal abuse in this book, but the rape and the abortion, I had no idea. And the abortion doesn't affect me because that's not something I've ever gone through personally, thankfully. But the other part was triggering. So I normally don't like reading books that have that in there for obvious reasons. It is a trigger. But I really did enjoy this book. So yeah, read it at your own risk. Just know what you can handle and what you can't. Okay. This book is based, or it's not based, I guess it's what the movie Practical Magic was based off of. This is Alice Hoffman's Magic Lessons, and this is the book one from the Practical Magic saga. It's such a beautiful, sad book. It's really, really, really good. It did take me some time to get through it. This is the example where I mean, like, that I like this book a lot, but with my busy schedule, I wasn't able to get through this book as quickly as I wanted to. I started reading this book towards the middle of September, and I didn't finish this book until November. So we did have a lot of things going on towards the end. We went camping, like back to back within a few weeks of each other. We had a lot of family events. I was trying to, still maintain the house and work. And then we went through the whole process of saying farewell to my grandmother. She was in the hospital for a while, and it was kind of a prolonged goodbye. So I wasn't reading at all during that time frame. Not until after, once we laid her to rest, and we know that she's finally at peace, was I able to, like, okay, I need to get myself out of this funk. And I picked up the book and continued reading it. Once I did, though, this book was amazing. I gave it a 5-star rating. It's so freaking beautiful. I guess there could be some slight triggers in here as well. This one I didn't feel was triggering at all. I really, truly enjoyed this book. It's very strong based off of like women's strength too and women relationships. Like, apparently I'm talking too much because I stopped recording. So it's very strongly based off of women relationships between mother and daughter and just like family strength and obviously magic. A lot of magic usage in here. It's very beautiful, very painfully beautiful, as one of the reviews stated. It was just a really, really good book. I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to give stuff away, but I highly recommend it if you haven't picked it up. It is a very good read. It's not, if you've seen Practical Magic, which I'm assuming most of you have, you know how they talk about the ancestor Maria who puts the curse on the Owens women? That's what the book is about. It's about Maria and her story, and then the legacy that starts of the Owens women. So very pretty. I can't wait to read the second one, which I think I already have. I'm just currently reading some other books. Okay, so those were technically all the books that I did finish for 2024 and were applied into my listing, which made it to my 10 books of wanting that I wanted to read in 2024. I am currently reading two books. One is a physical copy and one is a digital copy. So these will be going towards the new year of 2025. This one is The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic. And they said that this was like Practical Magic meets Gilmore Girls, and I can so far see it. I've only made it, I think, a few chapters in. Okay, so my memory card got full. I had to make some space. But I was saying, this book has been described as Practical Magic meets Gilmore Girls, and I do see that. It's very cozy vibes like Gilmore Girls, but there's magic stuff related. And something about a curse. I've heard people either hate it or love it, as most books are. I've so far been really enjoying it. I did put a pause to this book though, because I did get another book that I'm reading on my Kindle, which I'm still currently reading as of right now, but I am obviously not anywhere near finishing. That's the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Susan Collins, which is the prequel to The Hunger Games, which I absolutely loved. I read The Hunger Games while I was pregnant with my son, I think it was, or after I had him, somewhere around that. So that was about 2011, I think, when I read them. I don't know exactly how long they were out for, but I know I started reading the books because I had watched the first movie and I wanted to know what else happened. So I read all the books and the before the next movie came out, so I knew what was going on. I didn't know that they had made other books. I did see that they had made the movie of the Songbird, sorry, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I haven't watched it yet because I wanted to read the book first. And then I did notice in searching on Amazon, the Kindle Unlimited, they have another book which is like Hamish's point of view in the Hunger Games, which, how did I not know? So I did add that also into my want to reads. Of course, once I finish that book, I'm gonna of course, once I finish that book, I do want to get back into this one and finish this, which I really wanted to read during the month of October. But for me, it's witchy season all year round. I love. Sorry, I'm getting off of a cold, so I keep wanting to cough. My throat sometimes gets a little itchy. Anyways, I was saying, for me, witchy season is all year round. I just love magic. Like, I watch Harry Potter all the time, and I randomly get the urge to read their books. But since I have so many books that I want to read, I haven't been rereading those. They do take a while to reread. But anywho, yeah, I want to finish this book first, and then I'll continue to read the other books from Susan Collins to continue the story of the Hunger Games. Because for me, that's amazing. I also have several other books that I did purchase. Um, Throughout time, I guess, and like most recently, around the time that I started reading Everly, I started purchasing books, and so I do have a bunch of books that I'm waiting to read. So hopefully, I'll get through those too. Okay, so we should wrap up this video because I feel like it's going to be fairly long, and I don't know how many views I'm going to get. Typically, my longer videos don't get too many views. I must be boring or not relatable. I don't know. But anywho, as far as my goal for this year, I think I'm going to keep it the same. I'm going to try to just do 10 books. And if I do more, I do more. Um, I really love reading, but as you can see, I have a lot of houseplants that I need to take care of. I have two kids that I need to take care of, and a husband, a household, plus I work a full-time job, and I have a Rottweiler that also acquires my attention. So there's a lot of things I'm trying to do. Plus, I'm also working on my mental and physical health. I don't know if you guys can tell from previous videos if you watch them, but I have lost a little bit of weight. I think so far I've lost 15 pounds within a year, basically almost a year. In April, it'll be a year since I made the lifestyle change. And so far I've been maintaining, and it's primarily just because I also fell off on working on myself. So I want to get back into that. So I'm going to add books in there, but I'm also trying to fit everything else too. And we don't have that much daylight. So I have to also make sure that I'm getting plenty of sleep so that I can be healthy. So anyways, that's basically it for this video. I hope you guys truly did enjoy it. Let me know what type of books you guys read last year or this year in 2024 and what you're planning on read this coming year, what your goals are. Mine's is very, I think, reachable or modest. I don't know exactly how you would call it, but yeah, I love to read. I've always enjoyed reading, and I'm happy that I continue to do that now. I'm kind of building my own library now. I love that fact that I have a Kindle that I can continue to build a library. So once you run out of space, where are you going to put them all? But yeah, that's basically it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you truly did enjoy it. Leave me some comments down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already. And if you haven't, maybe consider subscribing and hitting that subscribe button. I would really greatly appreciate it. But that's all. Until next time, bye.